And welcome. It is Four States Live. With us this morning, Dr. Stephen Sinatra, a cardiologist, talking about how allergies can affect the heart. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Shannon. It's good to be with you.
Yes. So how can allergies affect the heart? I did PR for a local hospital for a number of years, but I never really made this connection.
Well, years ago, we used to think cholesterol was the root cause of heart disease. That's why I wrote The Great Cholesterol Myth. I didn't really agree with that. But the agreement about inflammation, chronic, unremitting inflammation, whether it's due to blood sugar or heavy metals or EMF, it doesn't matter. It's just inflammatory situations that can cause plaquing of the blood vessels is really important. So when inflammation became, the basic premise of the leading cause of atherosclerosis, I was all in. I was absolutely all in on it. And really, if we look at inflammation and if we look at allergies, chronic allergies, there's a big association with an inflammatory component, because when people suffer from even pollen allergies, for that matter, Shannon, it can last 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, and that inflammatory component. And a lot of people may have runny eyes or cough, or some people may get a sore throat. But if you get asthmatic symptoms, that's when it's really bad. We call that extrinsic asthma, or asthma developed from other causes, and usually allergen and pollen are the prime causes.
So I'm not going to lie. My eyes are running right now because the house that we moved into a few years ago, the people over-gardened the yard, and there are flowers everywhere, and that sort of a thing. But do over-the-counter medications, are they helpful? Are they a hindrance? How do we judge that?
Well, basically, if you take them for short periods of time for symptomatic relief, that's fine. The only problem with some of these allergy medications is that in an aging male, and that can be a male just over the age of 50. I've seen aging males who were taking allergy medicines, and they developed acute urinary retention, because some of these medications can literally cause, diminished blood flow, urine flow through the prostate. So an aging male has to, use these allergy medications with some caution. I haven't run into any major problems with females, certainly, but again, overuse of many of these medications. Now, women who take a lot of NSAIDs, like nonsteroidals, anti-inflammatories, there's been an incredible association of high blood pressure in women taking nonsteroidals, whether it's ibuprofen or Motrin or, any of these nonsteroidals. Over time, high blood pressure can result, and even kidney damage. So whenever you take over-the-counter medications, you have to always worry about a possible downside.
So you brought up kind of a personal question that I want to ask you. I've heard of kidney damage regarding NSAIDs and that sort of a thing. I've not heard about the high blood pressure part. Why?
Well, it affects the kidney. Whenever you affect the kidney, or you get inflammatory problems within the kidney vasculature, this sets up hormonal interactions like renin, angiotensin, all these things. These hormonal situations in the kidney can drive blood pressure up. So, that's one of the big factors in women with hypertension. And I'll tell you, I've written a lot about women in my books, and even textbooks of cardiology, chapters on women. And women are more prone to what we call diastolic dysfunction, meaning that they get more shortness of breath than men do, and they get more hypertension than men do. And women have to be careful with high blood pressure, because it's a definite risk factor. Next to cigarette smoking, it's the worst risk factor for heart disease in women is high blood pressure.
So how can we kind of take a more natural approach? I know diet has always been a big thing. I've always heard about the Mediterranean diet. Is that something that you push? Because I will tell you this, I hate fish. I'm sorry.
Oh, you hate fish?
I hate fish. I'm sorry.
That's too bad, because the omega-3s in fish are very, very helpful.
But I'll eat olives all day
squid?
long. I'll eat olives all day long.
Well, olives have some
Sodium.
constituents that olive oil has, oligopurine and hydroxytyrosol and stuff like that. The only problem I have with olives, Shannon, is that if you eat a lot of them, they're very salt,
I know,
endowed. So
sodium.
you got to be careful. In other words, I've had people come into my office, eating a jar of olives in a week, and their blood pressure went off the charts. So you have to be careful if you overindulge in olives. Moderation is key.
Okay, but I think moderation, is probably the best way to kind of approach almost any diet, right?
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
So talk a little bit about, I didn't get to let you finish regarding the Mediterranean diet, but talk about what
the Mediterranean diet, hands down, Shannon. I mean, hands down, there's no doubt about it. The Mediterranean diet is the best diet for longevity. If you look at the Mediterranean basin, all the countries, whether it's Libya, Turkey, Spain, Portugal, Italy, Greece, it doesn't matter. There's more 100-year-old people in the Mediterranean basin than there are in the world. The Okinawans used to have the monopoly on longevity. I mean, the average Okinawan used to live to 87.6 years or so. Now the average Mediterranean, especially in Spain, Portugal, and Italy, they're surpassing the Okinawans. Now think about this, Shannon. The average American, our lifespan is 79.6.
Right.
So basically, the Okinawan and anybody in the Mediterranean basin has about 7 or 8 years ahead of us. So it's something to consider. And I got to tell you, I think olive oil is the secret sauce of the Mediterranean diet. There's no doubt about it. Olive oil does everything good for the body.
I do use olive oil, so you got to give me snaps for that one, okay? So give me a few.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, one of the things I did at Vervana, I developed a company around olive oil because olive oil is so helpful. See, the big thing about olive oil, Shannon, is this, and probably a lot of people don't realize it. We're all born with inflammatory genetics. And when the Biogenome Project came out, when it discovered the biogenome about 20 years ago, we realized that we're born with inflammatory genes. You know what olive oil does, Shannon? It takes pro-inflammatory genes that we were all born with, and it reverses it back to a non-inflammatory state. That was one of the best articles I read in the journal called Genomics about a decade ago. Olive oil is for real, but you got to get the American olive oils, the California olive oils, because the olive oils in Western Europe, a lot of them are cut with canola oil, and canola oil is great for machines, but not for humans. And you don't want to use canola oil if you're a human, believe me.
Well, I'm going to keep you on the phone after this so we can discuss olive oils and cooking a little bit later, because we've got more stuff to get into. Because one of the topics that was sent to me is, what is earthing? Like, I even need to know what earthing even is.
Earthing is the greatest discovery I made ever since I discovered CoQ10 40 years ago. I mean, I've been involved with the earthing research for more than a decade, probably about 15 years now, and earthing is free. Yeah, I mean, I did it this morning. I walked the beach barefoot, where the tide comes in on the wet sand.
Okay, I'm in Missouri. I'm landlocked, so I don't need to hear about it.
Okay, so you got grass, right? You have nice green grass by your house?
Yes.
Do you have a brick patio or a concrete patio or anything like that?
We do have a pool.
Yeah, in other words, asphalt will not ground the human resonance. Asphalt is man-made. But anything like grass, sand, brick, concrete, any of these natural substances will generate what we call the human resonance. So when you walk bare feet or barefoot on these substances or the Earth's surface, you're taking in the human resonance, which is about 7.83 hertz. It's like the om, that the yogis do. Yep. And basically that resonance goes through what we call the K1 point of the foot. That's an acupuncture point. And you're literally absorbing this electromagnetic, very healthy earth energy, this human resonance, all the way into your body, and it goes up into the back of the brain by the pineal gland. It's absolutely amazing. It's free. It's anti-inflammatory. It heals so many people of their ailments, and even lowers blood pressure. I mean, there was a study done in California that I helped support, where all 12 people who slept grounded had lowering of blood pressure, and everyone was able to reduce at least 1 or 2 antihypertensive meds. So earthing and grounding are absolutely important. Everybody should do it because it's free. So you heal for free.
So
basically.
you get it for free. Does this kind of play a role with meditation, or is that a different type of self
Well,
treatment?
meditation and earthing are sort of similar. Whenever you earth, you are discharging the overactive sympathetic nervous system. And you do the same thing with meditation. When you use a mantra, or when you pray, or when you sit, or if you're in silence, what you're doing is you're attenuating or you're bringing down sympathetic activity and you're increasing parasympathetic activity. Now, in this day and age with COVID and being trapped in our homes and not going outside and worrying about vaccinations and, oh my God, I mean, the list goes on and on. Everybody is having, worry, panic, emotional stress, depression, and all these factors can overwhelm an autonomic nervous system. And basically, the secret is to really down-regulate it, and earthing is one of the best mechanisms to do that.
So we're getting kind of close on time, but I did want to ask, what is your connection to Healthy Directions? What is that?
Oh, I've actually was a vitamin formulator for Healthy Directions for over 25 years. Basically, if people go on to drsinatra.com, they'll see a lot of my nutritional supplements. I don't know if you know this, Shannon, but I was one of the first cardiologists to use coenzyme Q10 almost 40 years ago.
Wow.
And I met all the leading researchers on CoQ10, where they discovered it. Merck Pharmaceuticals had it. They sold it to the Japanese. But, in my growth and development, I'm a blessed soul. I am an absolute blessed soul. I think a lot of the dots in my life have been, connected spiritually. And by meeting, these researchers on CoQ10, it's been a big part of my life. And grounding and CoQ10, by the way, they share common ground. They're the grounding, like CoQ10, like I said before, is an electron donor. And that's what CoQ10, the miracle of CoQ10 is that it donates electrons and it ties up free radical oxidative stress in the body. So it quenches the fires of inflammation just like grounding does.
Well, how can our listeners find out more if they're interested?
Oh, they can go to drsinatra.com. And if people are interested in olive oils or healthy pasta sauces or organic pastas or sauces, or I even do organic high polyphenol chocolates because of the antioxidants.
You do chocolate
we have
too?
Vervana. Yeah, I do, yeah. Actually, we get chocolate delivered from Africa. It's all organic, and it's distributed by a company in Virginia. And, dark chocolate is good for you. It's one of the ways of lowering blood pressure. Remember, dark chocolate, like olive oil, has a lot of polyphenols in it. And whenever you can bring these healing polyphenols to the table, they do some really good things to the body. But remember this when it comes to chocolate, Shannon, less is more. 1, 2, or 3 small pieces of dark chocolate 4 to 5 times a week is fine. You just don't want to eat chocolate every day or eat lots of it because then you get the sugar response where you can take an anti-inflammatory and turn it into a pro-inflammatory. And we talked about moderation. Moderation is key.
Well, let me ask you one last question. What are your thoughts on red wine?
Oh, in moderation, it's awesome. Again, it's resveratrol, it's polyphenols, and remember this, Shannon. The average cholesterol of a Frenchman is 275. They have the lowest incidence of heart disease in Western Europe. Why? It's probably because of the French paradox. Because the French paradox means this. Even though the French have a low incidence of heart disease, the French, unfortunately, have the highest incidence of cirrhosis in the world. Again, moderation is key. And the problem with the French is a lot of their children start drinking, wine at very young ages. And over time, if you do too much wine, it will affect the liver, absolutely. But it protects the heart.
Of course. So thank you so much for joining us here this morning on 4 States Live, Dr. Sinatra. We'll be posting this information on our website, kkowam.com, a little bit later on this morning. We've got more coming up on 4 States Live.